Good afternoon all. Chakradhari, friends call me CR. I'm a protection counterterrorism professional. Learned my bit of security from supposedly the best in the world, the Israelis. And well, I was the ex-civilian is basically the armed forces, when they retire, they become ex-servicemen. So when civilians, they step up into the security domain, they become ex-civilians. So that's my logic.
Chakradhari, immediate step to start building a practical and relevant security culture would be?
So I think more than these steps, slightly before will come the philosophy that we need to have. Because what philosophy does is it drives the right intent, the right content into the mechanism that we design. So I think there are two philosophies right now when it comes to security culture. The first philosophy that is going on is see something, say something. Now it's a good one, but there is one challenge with this philosophy. It is like barking dogs. Like how we have on the streets, near next to our house, we have dogs, and we leave them there with a thought process that when a stranger walks in, they start barking. But very important thing here is that the stranger or the adversary, he knows that these dogs bark, they don't bite. Correct? So that is a very important thing that we need to understand. Say something, see something, say something is good, but it's just barking. But what we need is a different philosophy when it comes to handling security culture of a nation which is 1.4 billion. Where the police to civil ratio is 1:600 on paper, but I'm told that on ground it is into a couple of thousand. Where the emergency response or the police response is close to around 10 to 15 minutes, while it takes 30 seconds to get molested, maybe 10 minutes to get raped, 3 minutes to get kidnapped. Correct? So when the crime exposure to crime is such short, 10 minutes is a very, very long time to have a response. So basically, the philosophy that we need to have to build a security culture for a country like India, populous country like India, is when you see something wrong, do something right. So we need people who are trained to do something and not just talk about what's happening there. Because that is when what we will do is that we will create a significant threat to the threat. And that, in my view, is one of the biggest deterrents that you can ever have. Because if I, as an adversary, am seeing that if I do something, the response to that is going to be a threat to me, I will not do it. As simple as that. Okay, so that being the philosophy, I think 3 steps, quick steps that we need to do, we need to take to start building our security culture. The first one is identify our threats. When I say our threats, I'm not talking about corporations. I'm not talking about the nation. I am talking, if you're talking about building a security culture in a common man, what is a threat to a common man? We need to go down there. Build that common man's capability to be able to, 1, identify his threat, 2, isolate his threat or isolate himself from the threat, and the 3rd one is mitigate. So identify, isolate and mitigate. So that is one, identify the threats. 2nd, identify our vulnerabilities that are going to be exploited by the threat. Because there is a vulnerability in me, and that is what is being exploited. If I don't have vulnerabilities, I don't, then I become a hard threat, not a soft target. I become a hard target. So that's why I keep telling my, my folks that train hard, then you won't become a soft target. So having said that, the third point and very important is train. You've identified threats, you identified vulnerabilities. Now is the time to train. And what do we need to train? When we design the curriculum, we need to keep it SCAPE, S-C-A-P-E, okay? And this SCAPE stands for one simple, because we're talking about a common man. Not an army guy, not a navy guy, not the paramilitary or not the security staff. We're talking about a common man. So the content has to be, the curriculum has to be very simple. C, very crisp. A, it has to be automated. Training 1.4 billion population in a security culture is not going to be a man-to-man job. It has to be automated, like how our, Arogya Setu got automated. That was a brilliant one, correct? So it has to be automated. Next, it has to be practical. Something a common man, maybe somebody who's not even educated, somebody like that can understand those principles, security principles, and be able to deploy them in terms of crisis. And last but not the least, it has to be effective. Because the moment it is not effective, people will lose belief in the system, and then we go back to ground zero. So I think SCAPE is very important in whatever we do, whether it's common man or building a security culture in our organizations. And the next one is dissemination of the curriculum. So how we take this curriculum to people is the automated way. We need trainers, we need a physical touch, we can't completely go online. But at the same time, whatever this process is, I think we're already late. The best time to build our security culture was 20 years back, the next best time is now. And trust me, as Gary sir said, we're already in the Third World War, which is the PSYOPs. We do not have time. My friends, we don't have time. Time is running out, and we need to do what we need to do right now. Thank you.